This is our first go at a webinar of this format, so bear with us, but we should do well. So yes, today I'd just like to acknowledge that we're gathered on the lands and show respect to the Whadjuk people of Noongar. And today is an important webinar for the polyphagous shotthole borer EOI process that WAARC is running. And so my name's Kelly Pearce, and I'm the Director of the WA Agricultural Research Collaboration, or WAARC as we'll call it from now on. I'm also a ministerial appointment to the Biosecurity Council of WA and have a strong interest in agricultural biosecurity. And I'm really focused on facilitating collaborative efforts through WAARC to address biosecurity threats such as this one. For those of you who aren't familiar with WAARC, we're actually a joint venture established to drive transformational ag and food R&D in WA, and our partners include DPIRD, UWA, CSIRO, Curtin, Murdoch and the Grower Group Alliance. And together we are trying to pull very innovative collaborative R&D to address some key challenges and opportunities for agriculture in WA. So today's webinar is actually a broader initiative that started with a request by the Minister of Agriculture, who asked WAARC to coordinate this process. We had a workshop in September that many of you, I can see online, attended, and we also then came out of that and developed this synthesis document, which is helping us with this EOI process. And with this, the full Minister's support, this EOI will help us really push towards eradication and protection of agriculture. So we're really grateful to have you all online today. There's 17 of you to engage in this process. I'd like to now introduce Kirsty Moynihan, who'll present this EOI discussion with you, and I'll let Kirsty introduce herself. But thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to today's discussion and the questions to follow, if any. So thank you, Kirsty.
Great. Thanks very much, Kelly. So welcome, everyone. I'd just like to add my welcome to Kelly's, and thank you for that sort of brief bit of background that you've provided us. I am the lead for what was known as the climate resilience area, and it's now just had a quick name change and is called Resilient Agricultural Futures. So that's to a bit of a nod to kind of this increase in scope that we have at the moment, which includes polyphagous shotthole borer, amongst some other topic areas as well. So without further ado, I will share my screen and we will get started on the presentation. Put that one there. Right, great. So hopefully everyone can see that on your screen at the moment. I'm just going to go through some slides to sort of give you an outline of the program and how to apply for this funding. So that will take us probably around sort of 20 to 25 minutes to get through. There's the agenda in front of you there. We're going to go through the priority research themes, the process for the project development and assessment, some governance mechanisms, the funding that's available, timeframes and expectations for the funded projects, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. If you would like to put, or you prefer to put your questions in the chat, you can certainly do that. But I will be just holding those questions until the end. So that will hopefully assist everyone to ask questions at the same time and to get those responses. So just to sort of, again, reiterate what Kelly was saying, a number of you who are online today were part of the workshop that we ran back in September. The purpose of that workshop was to develop collaborative initiatives and potential research to facilitate the eradication of polyphagous shotthole borer in WA and to minimise its impact to agriculture. And there were a number of priority research themes that the workshop assisted us to land with, and they were the host, pathogen, pest, environment and interactions, innovative control strategies, including biological and chemical control, and thirdly, new approaches to improve detection and surveillance efficiency and success. So we'll go through those in a little bit more detail. and I'll give you a bit of an idea about some potential research topics. Now, these are just, sort of a guide. They are not meant to be a comprehensive list of potential or list of topics. So firstly, shot hole borer biology and behaviour. Clearly there's the fungus or fusarium fungus that's associated with shot hole borer biology and ecology in Western Australia. So looking at how those differ, I guess, in the Western Australian environment is important. We also want to look at pathogenicity for economically and ecologically important hosts. There is also an area potentially of modelling and long-term monitoring of those dynamics, their ecological effectiveness of the control methods and future outbreak prediction as well, and also the effective environmental variables such as water and temperature on infestations, virulence and host susceptibility. So you'll notice that I do refer to PSHB FD, which is the polyphagous shot hole borer fusarium dieback. So we're kind of referring to it as a disease complex. So slightly longer, but I'm sure you all understand the reason behind that. So the second theme, innovative control strategies. Firstly, chemical treatments, looking at the different chemistries, applications for method and use that occur across a broad range of hosts and environments. Also biological control agents such as nematodes, other insects, bacteria, fungi, viruses, ones that disrupt the life cycle of the borer and its associated fungus. And that would include evaluating commercial biological controls that are already available, as well as novel ones that are potentially identified in Theme 1. We'd also look for potentially novel cultural control methods, and they include alternative approaches to mechanical tree removal, investigating selective tree removal buffer zones, etc. We would look at protectants and repellents to reduce those populations, redirect from hosts, prevent primary infestations and potential reinfestation in treated trees. And in addition to that, looking at new attractants as well. So moving on to Theme 3, there's quite a lot here. I'm not going to cover this in a lot of detail. So this is the improvement of detection and surveillance efficiency and success. This is potentially includes modelling the spread and impact of the shot hole borer in both agricultural and urban environments, estimating detection probability of various methods, host and site occupancy, estimating dispersal, either active or passive, developing population dynamic models, risk mapping, how that changes through space and time, predictive diagnostics, detection tool performance, particularly those that will assist with faster diagnostics. And lastly, there on the list is citizen science and community involvement, so assessing the value that might be provided by a passive surveillance network. So moving on now to the process, the project development and assessment. We are going to go through a two-stage process. So the expression of interest that we're outlining today is the first stage, and then projects that are shortlisted through that process will be invited to submit a detailed full proposal. The only way it can be submitted is via Smarty Grants, and you need to register to do that. So the Smarty Grants link is via the WAARC website. I will provide you with that information at the end, but just very quickly, if you're super keen to know, the WAARC website is www.waarc.org.au, WAARC being WAARC. So firstly, there needs to be a chief investigator that belongs to a WAARC member organisation. That person will be the approved contact person for the application, and they will also submit the application through Smarty Grants. I'll take you through some assessment and eligibility criteria next. But of course, everyone wants to know what is the funding amount, and we're looking up to $2 million in funding in total. And we're looking at projects from 250,000 upwards, so up to potentially 1 million per research project for very large collaborative projects. So the assessment criteria, for the expression of interest, first of all, there's a number of eligibility criteria. You do need to align your project with key research themes. Those are the ones that I've outlined for you earlier. They do also appear on the WAARC website as well. They need to include 3 or more WAARC collaborators. So that means, there are 6 WAARC members you'd be aware of: Murdoch, Curtin, UWA, GGA, DPIRD and CSIRO. Thank you. Awesome. So we need also to have these projects that directly support shot hole borer eradication. That is the main aim that we're looking for. They need to safeguard WA's agricultural sector from shot hole borer fusarium dieback. And we also need to keep in mind that DPIRD do need to approve any logistical requirements that may be contrary to the response that's underway at the moment. So they might include things like trees left standing in order to undertake some research on those. There's also regulatory requirements for chemical use, etc., and those would need to have permits as well. So there will be a guiding document put up on the website shortly, very shortly. So it's not there currently, but we are just in the final stages of finalising it now. So moving on to the merit assessment criteria. Obviously methods, an outline of those is important. We are looking for actionable insights, so addressing critical questions and gaps, and that's why we've provided that information earlier. We worked together on developing up those themes. Obviously, our colleagues at DPIRD in the incident team and plant biosecurity have been really critical to this, but there's also been a number of researchers that have been, heavily involved in that. So really appreciate the collaborative effort that have gone into outlining what we need for these projects. So you will need to provide a project plan in the EOI process that just needs to be an outline, but it needs to give us an idea of, that you've undertaken a risk assessment, that you considered the resources, timelines and milestones that will go into your project. It will be evaluated on value for money, so outcomes versus costs. It needs to address scalability and broader applications and have a lasting impact beyond the funding period. Another aspect that WAARC is very heavily involved in is capability building. So we would like to see PhDs and postdocs potentially involved in this. So that will be another important aspect that will be evaluated as part of this EOI process. And you do need to also provide us with the degree to which the findings will be shared. So that means an adoption and extension plan would be very valuable as well. So for the next part of the process, if you are shortlisted, it will go to a detailed proposal, as I said. For that, those assessment criteria will be similar. The eligibility criteria will be the same as that outlined for the EOI. However, you will need to provide a more detailed methods and budget. So you'll need to use the WAARC budget template for that. We will provide that. And you're looking at a 3-year timeframe for delivery. In terms of governance mechanisms, there will be a coordinating group, and they will be involved in coordinating the research during the initial setup of the projects and also during the life of those projects. So they will not be involved in assessment, but will, obviously assist with that coordination process. We'll have an EOI assessment panel that will be made up of DPIRD and WAARC people. Not people involved in this research, obviously, and they will assess the projects against the criteria and shortlist those for full applications as well. And then we'll have a full project assessment panel, which will assess those larger full project proposals against the criteria and make recommendations for WAARC funding. We do have a steering committee that will provide final approval for that funding through the WAARC steering committee. So just to give you an idea, obviously with state government backing funding for this, we do need to ensure that we have ethical and accountable use of those public funds, as we always do. We will manage conflicts of interest through a declaration process, And, you will be aware that there will be requirements for any sharing and use of data and other DPIRD legal and regulatory requirements. So as I said, those will be outlined in the DPIRD document and that will be available on our website. So a little bit more on the funding. As I said earlier, we definitely need alignment with those 3 research themes. There is a total amount of up to $2 million for all projects combined. So, we're looking at project sizes of 250K and upwards, so with a maximum of 1 million per project, and they would be for the larger collaborative projects. External funds, so this is usually a WAARC requirement. We usually have a requirement to have 2 to 1 external funds to WAARC funds. However, in this circumstance, we are waiving that requirement and we do not strictly require those external funds for this. However, they will be taken into account. Obviously, we can have bigger projects, that could potentially cover more research if there are external funds available. There will, however, be a requirement to have a 1-to-1 ratio of in-kind contribution to WAARC cash. So that will still be the requirement here. And non-WAARC members can be involved in these collaborative projects that meet the criteria, those eligibility criteria that we've outlined. So they still need to be led by a WAARC member, person is the chief investigator, and have 3 WAARC members. However, it can also include non-WAARC members. In terms of expectations for these funded projects, first and foremost, it needs to be impactful research in WA for WA. We will be expecting people who are recipients of this funding to adhere to a communications protocol and to also engage in periodic and interim sharing of their findings with the whole research group. Obviously, this would be at a level that is appropriate to share, in those interim stages. But the whole idea of this is that we are able to use those actionable insights as they come up rather than waiting until the end of the 3-year period. So that would certainly be part of the coordination process as well. There would be the usual contracted requirements with milestone reporting that you'd be very familiar with as researchers. So capability development, just to reiterate again, that's an important part of why WAARC has been created. So we would definitely like to see PhDs and postdocs support for early stage researchers in there as well. And as I said, 3 WAARC partners are a must, must have that collaboration aspect. Again, that's part of our reason for being. So in terms of indicative timeframes there, we've got the expression of interest opening today. We have the website available. That will be on the next slide. So you'll be able to find all the information there. So it opens today, the 20th of November, closes in 4 weeks' time on the 18th of December. We are looking to hopefully notify the outcome of those EOIs on the 20th of January, however, to be confirmed. And shortlisted proposals will be invited shortly thereafter to submit their detailed project proposal. And they'll have approximately 3 weeks to submit that detailed proposal. We're looking to notify the outcomes of those 4 proposals around the end of February. So we're looking to announce the funded projects in March next year, and the projects would commence when contracting is completed. So finally, some contact details there. So the WAARC website, if you look under the opportunities tab, you'll find a lot of, all this information that you're looking for. It will have the Smarty Grants link. It has a number of other pieces of documentation. There will be the guidelines document that will take you through how to actually fill in the application. If you do have any additional questions, there is an email address there, so info@waarc.org.au. If you please put PSHB in the subject line, it will be diverted to probably myself or someone else who can help you with your inquiries. So just wanted to reiterate, please feel free to share the information and to encourage other people to apply for this. I might just stop sharing. a screen where we can see who's on there. Okay, it's all good. Oh, my camera's off. Yeah. No. I might just change that one. No, it's not going to let me. All right, no problem. I will have a look at the camera. Actually, that's not going to work because I can't see that. So thank you very much. Is there any questions that anyone has here?
In the Q&A.
Thank you. Do you want to drive that? I'm sorry, my glasses are not going to let me do both things. Easier if I take them off. Trina? Yep. So, Deb, do you want to?
Yep, I can do that.
Question?
Yeah. So I was just wondering, you mentioned quite early on, and it's obvious that we're going to have a whole range of approvals for working with DPIRD within the, the context of a whole variety of limitations. And also like contact APVMA and things like that. Are they expected to be in place before we go through the EOI phase? I mean, you can start the conversations, but approvals can sometimes take longer than a couple of weeks.
No, that's right. I think what we'd like to see, Trina, is just evidence that conversation has started. That would probably be the best place to start. Yeah, certainly I think that is important. There's usually options to get kind of emergency use or sort of research use, that kind of thing with APVMA.
I mean, that may be easier than getting access and approvals through the DPIRD process. I'm just thinking, for example.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I think in terms of permits, I was probably really alluding there to things like the use of quarantine facilities, etc. The use of these as pests, as declared pests. There would and look, I am not a plant biosecurity person, but yeah. So those types of permits. But yes, absolutely, that's quite correct. And actually, while you're on the line there, Trina, just want to acknowledge, the huge support that the Harry Butler Institute has provided to us to date. Yeah, really appreciate that. It's been a really good collaborative effort to date.
No problems. This is a problem I think everyone that's on this call today really wants to solve before it gets much worse.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks very much, Trina.
So we've got Rebecca Brown's question. I'll just call it out in case some people can't actually see the Q&A. It's stress on trees seems to increase the impact of PSHB and the tree susceptibility. Would you also consider projects which assist with bolstering tree health?
That's an interesting one. I wouldn't.
So if I can give a little bit more context,
Thank you.
Obviously, very much understand where you guys are coming from in terms of eradication, but local government is seeking to, as much as possible, preserve what tree canopy we have, and in improving host health, as with COVID, is one mechanism to try and reduce spread, but also keep what we have. So that's the context of my question.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting aspect. I certainly wouldn't rule that out.
Put in the EOI and we can work through it. Yep.
Well,
Yep,
we can't,
much.
but someone else can.
Someone else can. Yeah. No, and absolutely. Please feel free to reach out to researchers, Rebecca. That's a good point. Yep. Thank you.
We've got another question. Yeah, I'll cut to Bruce's first in the Q&A. Are there any restrictions as to what the WAARC funds can be used for in terms of operating, salaries or stipends, including for the mentioned postdocs, postgrads?
I'll throw to you, Kelly.
Yes, there are restrictions, and that will be in the EOI documents. Memory, Kirsty, salaries are only for WAARC partner organisations. Operating, yet stipends. We do have a PhD program in WAARC as well, so we will look to use some of the WAARC funded stipends for PhDs, as long as they can find a base scholarship. And operating, There are some restrictions there on capital, but it is in the document.
Yep,
That's
and
the
we,
guidelines document.
the
that one.
guidelines document also maps out travel and when that will be permitted. So that's
Yes, it is all in there, Bruce. But come back to us if you've got any questions on that.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Good one.
just going to
Many
cut
thanks.
across
That's great.
It's going to cut across the chat. We've got from Rob Emery. Is there potential for overseas studies as part of a project?
This is in the guidelines as well. There are some conditions around that, but it is possible for yes, it is possible, but it will require approval. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera.
No,
it will require approval from the WAARC team. Specific activities. It's very clearly defined activities.
Thanks, Rob.
Rob.
Cutting back to the Q&A, Julia Grassel, will there be access to data from the response in terms of hosts, incidences and maps for modelling projects?
So this one, in terms of data sharing, obviously DPIRD has restrictions on how they use the data that they've collected for a certain purpose. So, and it's not a definitive answer that I could provide. It's certainly one that, depending on the circumstances and the type of data that you'd be looking for, that you would need to check in with the folks, the regulatory, plant biosecurity, perhaps even the incident folk as well. Just trying to have a look. I don't want to put them.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a
Rebecca? Is that a left? Have you got your hand up again, or is that left over?
I do.
Just,
if that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So my question is possibly more to the researchers in terms of not to the process of the grant itself, which seems very straightforward and grant-like, is about how you're looking to engage with local government. So a lot of the trees, if you're looking to work with the existing trees, whether infected or not, a lot of the easily accessible trees are probably going to be on local government land, or potentially state government. I'm sure you'd be working with Kings Park. I'm interested in how we can streamline communications and engagement with local government, so we don't end up with over the next 2 weeks every uni going to a different local government, or them all going to the same local government. So I don't know if that's been considered as part of the sort of grant process. I'm guessing probably not. But yeah, I'd be keen to understand if people have a view about how we can make it easier.
Kirsty has had some that Rebecca you've been speaking with, or another WAARC representative.
Yep. Talking to Mel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So happy to streamline a central point of contact if that's at all possible, perhaps with WAARC.
Yeah.
Any feedback there on how you think the best way for us to deal with that would be appreciated, but it's the kind of interactions and collaborations that we want to support and encourage, but create work for everyone. So yeah, if Melanie is the person, I think you're speaking with WAARC.
Yeah, I would
Next
take
week.
advice on who's the best person to contact there, Rebecca.
Yeah, Mel has all of the links into those people doing the work, and obviously as an organisation we have a link in. We have we have a number of local governments who are super keen, so happy to sort of distribute contact details from the researchers to those local governments so that they can collaborate. Thank you for that. It really is appreciated.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you being involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Giles Hardys, you've got who would be the key DPIRD contacts around some of the points raised. I would suggest, Giles, if you could email us at info@WAARC and we will direct it accordingly. I don't have a particular one single point of contact DPIRD wise, but I can certainly find out who's best to answer your question. If that's okay, that would be great. Who else?
Trina's got a hand up. Oh, no, Trina.
I will say, so I would just, I just wanted to talk about what Rebecca just said about a point of contact for local government. So I think that's really important. But then if we're looking for things to do, it's going to have to go through DPIRD in the first instance anyway. So, I mean, it's like a double sort of process in a way, like it's, and maybe it's a DPERD question before it's a WAARC question or a local government question, because I guess it has to get approval from DPERD to progress before it actually you go to find the places to do it. So I just think that we need to be really clear about that, because yes, I don't think we want people like going all over the place trying to get approvals that maybe they won't be able to do what they're planning to do.
Yeah, no, they're important points, and I think we'll need to work through them. But I agree. I think, when we're talking about the incident response, we have to, consider that DPERD is the lead agency for the incident. And then, once that's kind of determined whether it is actually appropriate and applicable, the next port of call would be local government, and it would be very much appreciated, Rebecca, to kind of have a point of contact through you guys. So it would probably be Melanie, as you say, but I'll certainly work with you guys to work that out. Does that sound okay, Rebecca? Yep. Great. Yep. And Trina. All right.
Any more questions?
It looked like someone posted a question and it's disappeared. Did you
I think
just
Julia did the thumbs up.
Oh, okay. No worries. Yep.
Let's see. Anyone got any more hands up? Let's see.
No worries.
But I mean, back to DPERD. DPERD have been hugely helpful. The incident response team, the plant biosecurity team, in helping WAARC get this process up and running. We're obviously trying not to load up. I know a few of them are on the line today. We're not trying to load them up with extra work around approvals and processes. So we're hoping we'll streamline that as much as possible. But we are very grateful to the DPERD team for the support they've given us so far. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, well said.
Yep. Any other questions? Come on. Wherever it's difficult.
Covered everything. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, this will be recorded and available somewhere. Yes. WAARC website. You need to cover off.
Yeah, probably just I'll just do a double check. No other questions that have popped up during that time. Okay. As I said, just want to reiterate, please feel free to share, probably via the web address. That might be the easiest way for everyone to get the questions and the link to Smarty grants and the guidelines, etc. And yeah, look, thank you very much, everyone. We really appreciate that, a lot of people are very passionate about this area. We all want to see, benefits and outcomes to WA. We recognise that, the incident response team and the biosecurity team are working, with a pretty difficult, complex problem. And, I really appreciate that everyone here wants to assist and to enhance that process. So thank you very much, everyone. We look forward to receiving your proposals, and we will be working together to support that process, and certainly to protect WA's agriculture sector as well, and to bolster education response. So thank you very much, and look forward to hearing more from you soon.
See you, everyone.